What if the way you see the world is not the way the world truly is? What if the identity you've built, the beliefs you hold, the truths you cling to, are only fragments shaped by a lens that can never capture the whole picture? Welcome back. My name is Reese, and this is Mental Medicine. Today, we're exploring how our perceptions create confused conceptions of ourselves, how the very lens we use to see reality can distort it, and how those distortions ripple out to shape our lives, our relationships, even the state of the world. We'll move from the idea of stillness to the earth spinning at cosmic speed, to the illusionary lines we draw on maps, to the wars we wage over ideas that are not reality at all. And we'll ask what changes when the mind becomes clear. How do our perceptions create confused conceptions of ourselves and others? We perceive the earth as flat, however, this concept is known to be false. We might sit down and perceive stillness, yet the earth is traveling at 67,100 miles an hour around the sun. Our concept of stillness is innately untrue as we inhabit earth. We perceive reality as an individual, creating psychological conceptions based on these individual perceptions. But quantum physics has shown us that everything arises from an energetic field of potential, vibrating, shifting, and interconnected. A Course in Miracles tells us that what we perceive is not reality, but projection of the mind. It is not the world that causes our thoughts, but our thoughts that cause the world we see. God is what mind becomes when it has passed beyond the scale of our comprehension. Freeman Dyson. Go into a part of our world untarnished by human perception, like a desolate desert, a tranquil forest, or an expansive ocean. What do you find? Peace and harmony. These are the truths of the universe. Everything else is confusion. God is never confused. Confusion only lives in man's belief of separateness. Confusion arises when man perceives the incomprehensible as a concept and then identifies themselves with what has been conceived from what one perceives. As the perception of the individual is derived from belief systems created by conditioned habits of behavior and thought, these then become lenses of judgment to conceptualize the world around them and their nature as a human. These concepts then manifest as identification labels. However, in trying to conceptualize life and yourself, you and life, which is God's expression of love, are a part of God, and God is inconceivable to the thinking mind. Attempting to conceptualize the inconceivable will only lead to confusion, such as war, hate, greed, jealousy, and anger. For God can never be conceived as an idea for man to identify with, only known as a feeling that brings us love, peace, and harmony. God lives on all planes of reality, even those man is unaware of. Look at the state of the world and see how concepts originated from man's perceptions are fundamentally untrue, yet materialize on the physical plane of existence due to man's narrow scope of awareness to the truth of reality. The concept of countries isn't real, yet due to man's perception, they become puzzle pieces in mapping out the world. And man's lack of awareness to the false concept of countries, humanity has created ways to identify itself with perceived borders of Earth that don't actually exist. Remove man from the land, and is Russia still Russia? The Ukraine still the Ukraine? These are mental boundaries, not God's creation. In the Course's language, they are illusions, projections of the mind we have mistaken for reality. In man's need to objectify reality, humanity loses its ability to be subjective to the immense vastness and truth of God. The idea of countries is a human concept, not a reality. The idea of war is also a human concept and not a reality. Like the idea of countries, war is only real because we make it real, but it is not a truthful form of reality. This is man's confusion, believing in an illusion. Our limited awareness to what we perceive creates conceptions that become our truth, but are not true of the totality of reality. The current state of affairs between Israel and Palestine is a concept that originated out of man's confusion. There's a perception of two countries, two ethnic groups. Yet, if we were astronauts looking down on Earth, would we be able to identify these two countries with their exact borders, or would we just be perplexed by the immensity of Earth? The concept of these countries is a confused thought formed by the limited awareness of man objectifying what is being perceived. Two perspectives can appear entirely different and both be true within their own scale of awareness, yet neither may reflect the whole truth. Think of an ant crawling on you. The ant can feel the texture and warmth of your skin, realizing that it is not on the grass. However, the ant's awareness is limited, so it's unable to perceive the idea of you as a human. We humans are too massive for the ant to truthfully conceive and acknowledge what we are exactly. Yet, is the ant wrong for not realizing it's on a human? Not being grass is a poor and misleading way of quantifying our humanity. However, our being is much too vast and complex for the ant to truly understand. Both the ant's limited awareness and perspective, as well as our own human awareness and perspective, are true at the same time, but completely different in meaning. The term world war is a concept of man's confusion. There can never be a world war, for the world can never be at war. The world only knows harmony. In order for disharmony to exist, it must be a conception from man's perception. Peace and harmony are the truths of reality. As man conceives war, the sun still shines brightly, the desert is still dry, and water is still wet. The birds still sing, the flowers still grow, and the fish still swim. The concept of war is due to man's confusion of perceiving another as a threat. The only way the perception of a threat is conceived is if one objectifies their individual body as separate from life. As an individual perceiving the world as something that is disconnected from themselves creates concepts of how to control life for the sole benefit of the individual form. Life reflects our concepts back to us. If our perceptions are confused due to our limited awareness as an individual, in the world we create untruthful ideas of reality. The narrow scope of awareness that objectifies one as an individual denies the truth that there is an energetic field that binds all of existence, forming a universally connected mind. There is one mind. This mind is God. Every individual exists in this mind, and this mind is formed by every individual. In order for war to exist, there has to be a belief of good and evil. Or us, we are the good side, versus them, they are the bad side. But where does the evil begin and the good end? History shows the cycle of the ego's thought system. Us versus them, victory and defeat, guilt and blame. For example, during World War II, Nazi Germany was othered as the them. And not to diminish the monstrosities that regime conducted, but how did the Nazi Party rise to power in the first place? In the aftermath of World War I, Germany was held accountable by the good guys by the Treaty of Versailles, causing the country to go into extreme economic hardship. The suffering of the German people caused them to put their trust into a leader that they thought would bring prominence back to the German people. Their mistreatment after World War I was the catalyst for World War II beginning. As World War II ended, America found a new enemy to label as the them, a former ally in Russia. This perpetuating cycle of othering people leads to a seemingly unending war. This is the coarsest description of the ego's endless cycle of attack and defense, a cycle that only forgiveness can end. Forgiveness in A Course in Miracles is not about excusing actions. It's the release of illusions, the choice to see the divinity in place of the ego. For like the ant unable to perceive the human it crawls on, in the perception of us versus them, we become unaware to the truth that we are all connected and thrive when we are harmonious with one another. The limited perception of war appears true on one level of reality, but is untrue on another level. In man's belief in a limited perception, confusion is born. The unconfused mind, a clear mind, is attuned to the one mind. Nobody can conceptualize the incomprehensible presence of God, yet everybody can know God if one is aware and accepts that they are God. God exists on all planes of reality, from the solar system to an atom. The macro is reflected in the micro. A star exploding is the same shape as a cell dividing. The Fibonacci sequence is found in our solar system, in a hurricane, and in a seashell. The electromagnetic toroidal field around our hearts mimics the electromagnetic field around Earth. Reality has a design of divine intelligence, and everything exists in one intelligent mind. Since there is a peaceful harmony to how the planets rotate around the sun, there is meant to be peaceful harmony here on Earth. Disharmonies exist when humans are confused with their perception of the truth. Humans were created in God's image, meaning we as humans have the power of creation, turning our concepts held in our minds into reality. However, if we are conceptualizing the world from the confused perception as an individual, that conception of reality will inherently be confused. Quantum physics has shown, through entanglement theory, that everything is energetically connected, meaning on the quantum plane of reality, there is no such thing as an individual separate form. What happens when the clear, unconfused mind perceives the truth of reality? The concepts of peace, love, harmony become recognized on the material plane because that is all that is actually there. Humanity has the power to create this world, if the world is perceived by the truthful understanding of a clear mind. Studies have shown that this concept is true. They have conducted experiments called the Mariachi effect studies, where experienced meditators join together in meditation in some of the most perceived dangerous cities in North America. The reported results? All crime rates go down. Violence, rape, and thievery become non existent. There is an exponential power to our perception when many people conceive the same idea. When the experiment stopped, crime rates shot back up to their original rates before the experiment was conducted. If the population of the world perceives other individuals from the confused lens as a threat, dangerous, or separate, then the concepts of violence, murder, and war will manifest. If the population of the world perceives other individuals from the clear, truthful, unconfused lens of participating in a united spirit, a universal mind, or divine creation, then the concepts of peace, love, and harmony have no choice but to manifest on the material plane. This is our gift of being made in God's image. We as humans get to choose our perceptions that create our conceptions. How are your perceptions creating your conceptions? Are you confused, perceiving the world from a lens of separation? Or do you perceive the truthful clarity of unity? The lens you see through is the life you live in. If the glass is clouded by separation, you'll find reasons to divide. If it's polished with unity, you'll find reasons to connect. Every moment you are painting reality with your perception. Thank you for being here and thinking deeper and for exploring the unseen layers of life with me. This has been Mental Medicine. Until next time, much love.